Hey everybody, have you considered starting a podcast? We here at Screwball highly recommend Podbean for getting your podcast out to a larger audience. Podbean has given us the ability to easily bring you Screwball each and every week on all of your favorite podcast services. Use the link podbean.com/screwball to sign up and save up to 35% annually. You can also use the link podbean.com/pro/screwball to sign up for a business subscription. Happy podcasting. Hey everybody, welcome back to Screwball, a baseball podcast, your home for everything baseball. I'm your host Mike Lepre here with my co-host Frank White.
Hey, how's it going?
This week on Screwball, we're going to wrap up our AL conversation with our AL division by division prediction series. We will wrap up with the AL West, since we talked about the AL East and AL Central in the last two episodes. And then next week we'll move on to the NL, starting with the NL East. But for this episode, obviously, we're going to stick to the five teams out west, the Mariners, Rangers, Angels, A's, and Astros. We're going to keep it true to form with our other episodes where we're going to do our, kind of idea who's the least talented team in the division going up to who we think is the most talented team. It's probably the first division and probably one of the only divisions that me and Frank had any sort of disagreement on because the last two divisions are kind of, at least in our opinion, kind of not made up, but we kind of know where everyone is. So let's just jump right into it with the team that we think is, as of right now, has the least amount of talent in the division, and that for us is the Mariners. So the Mariners' projected lineup is shortstop J.P. Crawford, Dylan Moore, Kyle Lewis, Kyle Seager, Mitch Haniger. On RotoChamp, they have an outfielder named Jose Marmolejos Diaz. I'm not sure exactly who that is, but I suspect, and Frank probably too, that Jared Kalenic is going to get a look. He'll probably come up, after the time in April when his service time gets extended by a year. So you could probably just peg him in for that outfield spot. After that is Ty France, Evan White, and Luis Torrens at the catching position. And the rotation is Marco Gonzalez, Yusei Kikuchi, James Paxton, Justice Sheffield, and Chris Flexen. That is all according to RotoChamp. That's just kind of where I get my projection lineups and rotations. I would think, looking at it again, I would think Paxton would be just about your top guy. I don't know why he's listed here third. But anyway, so the Mariners, in my opinion, are the least talented team in the division. They have a great prospect pool, and they're kind of getting ready to go here. I think that they're getting real close to maybe spending some money and getting their young guys ready to kind of make some sort of run here at the West, because the West is getting a little bit more wide open than it has been in recent years. So, at the center of the lineup, you got guys like Kyle Lewis, Kyle Seager, soon to be Jared Kalenic, and their other outfield prospect. What was his name again? Julio Rodriguez. I'm sure he's going to come up soon, and pair that, I guess, with Mitch Haniger, and you've got a pretty damn good outfield, I would say. So, like I said, they're not really win now team. I do think that they have the least amount of talent, and then you look at their rotation. I mean, other than James Paxton, Justice Sheffield's supposed to be good. Kikuchi, these guys are just not, in my opinion, they're not players that you're going to have on your team that's, for the future, that's supposed to be real good. Their bullpen, no real names. Their closers, Rafael Montero, Matt McGill's supposed to be their setup guy. I mean, nothing really all-star there. Their bench consists of Shed Long, who's a really speedy guy. He's pretty good. Tom Murphy catching. I mean, not a whole lot of depth yet. Not a whole lot going on in the lineup. Maybe top four guys are going to give you good production. Nothing really to say here yet, but with their prospect pool and guys ready to go almost here, there's going to be some talent with the Mariners soon, and hopefully they get back to the early 2000s type Mariners where they can really turn it on and, be at the top of this West, like I said, just getting a little more open. So they're a team kind of similar to we've talked about with the other bottom-dwelling teams with the Orioles and Tigers and Royals and stuff like that, where they're not ready to go, but there's I think this team maybe even more than some of the other teams, even like the Orioles or something. They're getting close, and I think that you could see the Mariners even in a few years trying to make a run at the West here. So we'll see what happens with them, but for now, I just kind of see them as the fifth place team. That's kind of where I got them.
Yeah, the Mariners got, you named pretty much all these guys, Marcus Gonzalez, James Paxton, Sheffield, Kikuchi, Justin Dunn. They got some, most of those guys are pretty young pitchers. Gonzalez has been pretty good for them. Paxton back on a 1-year deal. That's good for for him and for the team. Sheffield obviously was a top prospect. Kikuchi, a young guy. Justin Dunn, another young guy. Some other pitchers, Rafael Montero, who came back last year and pitched pretty well. Kendall Graveman, who's been around for a little while. He's been pretty serviceable. Bullpen guy. Ken Giles, he's out there. He's coming off injury, so I don't know if he'll pitch this year, but he's a pretty good name. Kenyon Middleton, a guy who kind of earned his way into bullpens with the Angels recently. And position players, you got Tom Murphy, Evan White, Dylan Moore, Shed Long, Kyle Seager, obviously probably their best or biggest name on the team as of now, other than some of those prospect guys. J.P. Crawford's been playing pretty well from them, especially defensively. Jake Fraley, Kyle Lewis, who's going to be one of the best superstars in baseball in the very near future. Mitch Haniger, if he could stay healthy, is a pretty good player. And Ty France. So they got a couple names in the lineup, a couple names in the rotation. But for the most part, they're a younger team with not many pieces to trade. A couple names here and there. But for the most part, they just got a young team they're going to keep around and then let the prospects come up through the system, and then a couple free agents, and that's going to be the way they go about business. They don't, like I said, they don't got a bunch of guys they could trade away, other than maybe a reliever here or there, or Paxton, once the deadline comes. But Kyle Lewis is a superstar. He's gonna be great. J.P. Crawford's a good player. Justin Dunn, Sheffield. They got some young players. They got some good pieces, but they're gonna need their prospects to come up, really to take this team to the next level. And those prospects, I'm talking of, include Jared Kelenic, who obviously has been in the news with some of the stuff with the Mariners, former CEO and president. He was just spewing out the one day. Julio Rodriguez, who we mentioned, Emerson Hancock, Logan Gilbert, who are both two pitchers they have, Taylor Trammell, who they got in, I think, a 3-team trade over the offseason, and George Kirby, another pitcher. Those guys are all top 100. They're all top 100 prospects. That's, 6 top 100 players. And Kyle Lewis, who's not a prospect anymore, who's, last year he was a prospect who was top 100. They have a great farm system. They probably have a top 5 farm system, if not top 3 farm system.
Yeah, they gotta at this point.
And they're spread out. Yes, 3 of them are outfield. Okay. 3 of them are pitchers. That's great. You have another outfielder already in the league who's young, and you have a young shortstop. So they have a good little system here. But they have a great farm system. Like I said, a few tradable pieces, not many. So I don't really expect them to be too active for the deadline. But they have a few guys, or if they want to really sell Seager or something, like they could. But they only have a few names they could trade away. They're just not that great right now. They're way at the bottom. But a year or two, they could be easily top team in AL West, because he's got a lot of good prospects, and a lot of them are around the edge of coming up. So they could be real good real soon, like we mentioned with the Tigers. They could be real good in like a year or two. Mm-hmm. Or it might take 3 or 4 years. We don't really know, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them in a year. Maybe even next year or the year after be contended for the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of where I have them in my mind too. They're going to have a really good outfield if everyone kind of pans out how they're supposed to. Kyle Lewis, we already kind of know he's going to be, I would think he's going to be the real deal. If Kelenic pans out, he'll be out there. And Rodriguez, he pans out. They're going to have a sick outfield. So you start there. Like you said, they got good pitching prospects coming up. They could always go out and sign people. They proved that they can make big moves with quite a few years ago with Cano. They proved that they can make big deals. So there's no reason not to go sign people if they're missing a first baseman or if they're missing a shortstop.
Or they could trade a couple of these prospects and go get somebody big.
Yeah.
If someone becomes available. Recently, like we've seen Arenado or Lindor. Superstar like that, they can go trade for, then pay them money because they're not paying anyone else.
Yeah.
So they can trade for maybe a Chris Bryant and then pay him. Or trade for Javier Baez if the Cubs decide to do that and then pay him. So they could do something like that with the prospects they have and the money they have.
Yeah. I think that they're going to have a bright future. I think that things are looking up for them. But right now, I don't think that they have enough talent right now in the roster to do much really at all. But just maybe win a few games here and, kind of show off the talent they got other young guys and just look forward. That's kind of
just get them experience. But they'll be around. They'll be here sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Sure. So moving on to the next team, the team we think just kind of right above the Mariners as far as talent is the Rangers. The Rangers lineup consists of Leody Taveras, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Willie Calhoun, Joey Gallo, Nick Solak, Nate Lau, David Dahl, Jose Trevino, and Rougned Odor. Their rotation consists of, they have 6 people, by the way, pegged here on RotoChamp. Kyle Gibson, Jordan Lyles, Colby Allard, Dane Dunning, Mike Foltynewicz, and Ian Kennedy. I guess they put all 6 in there, kind of sporadic. I guess they just don't know where the exact positioning will be for the rotation. And then, out of the bullpen, you got guys like Jose Leclerc, Jonathan Hernandez, Joely Rodriguez. Off the bench, they acquired Chris Davis, Delino DeShields, Brock Holt. So they got a little bit of depth there on the bench. You got some guys that, Chris Davis got some pop. Brock Holt can play just about anywhere. Delino DeShields got some nice speed. So they got a little bit going on with a little bit of depth here. They got David Dahl, who's a great player. I don't understand the deal, really. For them, I don't know if I guess he's going to be more of a trade piece maybe this season. If he plays the way he could, he would probably get a lot of attention on the trading block. But other than that, they're more talented guys. Consist of Joey Gallo, Willie Calhoun, Isaiah Connor-Falefa is a nice piece for them. So, Rougned Odor has yet to really, at this point in his career, has really yet to wow me. Other than punching Jose Bautista, it's probably the greatest part of his career.
And his dad and I think his brother's name are both Rougned Odor.
Just all of them are running around. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think that the Rangers are just an okay team. I don't see them really even getting to the point where they could compete for a wild card. I just don't see it, especially with the 3 teams above them are all, I think, a bit like a level higher than them. I don't even think that the 3 teams above them are even close. Not to say that the Rangers aren't gonna make some moves and get some guys up and get going here a little bit. Dane Dunning's the guy they acquired for that Lance Lynn deal. I thought that was a good deal for them, considering they probably didn't even expect much from Lance Lynn, so that kind of set them up a little bit more for the future. So, the Rangers are in a little bit better spot than Mariners right now. I think that they can steal some wins from people, and they can sneak up on you if you're not careful. They got a little bit better of a middle of the rotation. You got a little more depth. You got a little bit maybe better bullpen. Rotation's okay. That's kind of how I'm feeling about them. Like, they're okay. They're just gonna they're gonna sit a little below 500. I think. I don't think they're quite gonna unless they all play really well. You could even see someone like Joey Gallo maybe commanding some attention on the trading block. Maybe they consider trading him away. I don't know how many years of control he has at this point. That probably depends on what the haul you get for him is. If he's only got 1 year as opposed to 3 years or 2 years or whatever. So, that could be something they could look at. They could look at, like I said, trading David Dahl. I don't know what they have planned, but that would maybe be a good idea for them to get some younger guys in. So overall, I just think that the Rangers are going to be a pretty good team, a little bit better than Mariners, but I don't know. You got the prospect pool. I'm not sure exactly how they're looking prospect-wise. Not quite, I know, as good as the Mariners, but if they do have some guys coming up, then they have things to look forward to. But they're kind of just, for now, for me, in my mind, they're just kind of there. They're not really, they're not quite getting to the point like the Angels are. They're not quite getting like that, but I guess I could see a team like, the Texas Rangers, they're pretty good market there. I could see them making some moves and trying to compete for that top spot in the AL West, or even a wild card. I don't know. We'll see. So,
the Rangers, just to go into some names like you already mentioned, Kyle Gibson, Mike Foltynewicz, it's a good signing for them. High potential and low floor really. Dane Dunning, Kohei Arihara, the Japan, I think he is Japanese.
I believe so. Yeah.
I might be Korean, but I think he's Japanese. Starting pitchers, so that's some of the names there. Jose Leclerc is fantastic out of the bullpen. Last year he struggled. Was it last year or 2 years ago he struggled? But when his stuff's on, he's very good. Throws very hard. It kind of reminds me of a guy who I always really liked back in the day, Carlos Marmol. He's got that feel to him. That guy's stuff's electric. Jordan Lyles, Heian Jong Yang, another Japanese player they have, or Korean player, pitcher. You don't know what you're going to get at him.
Yeah.
There's not much to say there. Jonathan Hernandez, another younger relief pitcher they have. Then they have Jose Trevino, Nate Lau, Ronald Guzman, who stretches like 7 miles at first base, Nick Solak, Rougned Odor, the one that punched Bautista, not his dad or his brother. That's the same name. That's fantastic. Did punch Bautista nice, though.
Oh, yeah.
They just knocked all the talent right out of Jose Bautista.
I know.
I was going to say punched him. He just couldn't hit the ball anymore.
I know. It took everything out of him.
Yeah. Brock Holt was always fantastic. Culberson, Janzy Swanson lookalike. Isaiah Kiner Falefa plays everywhere. He was a starting catcher, and now he's like their starting shortstop. I don't know. David Dahl, who's a great player. He's fantastic. Like you said, it didn't make sense for him to sign him. They got him on a very good deal, 1 year, I think, for like nothing. Guy, if he plays good, you keep him for 5-6 years. He could be a piece you build around the team back, or you trade him and get return for him. Chris Davis with a K. He can easily come back to bat in 247 and hit 40 home runs, especially at Texas Stadium. Or you could be like the other Chris Davis and bat like 112. Willie Calhoun's a guy with great power. And then Joey Gallo, the mammoth man of power out there. He's been better with his average and striking out and stuff. So if he could continue that rise, and he's really one of the better players in baseball.
Sure.
If he's going to strike out 400 times and bat 200, I mean, it's just not really worth the price of admission, I guess you could say. So overall, the team has some good talent, major league talent. For the most part, they're not going to be that great.
Yeah.
Their big thing is, hey, we're going to be somewhat competitive in a new stadium, so come watch us. We have some talent. We got some names that are going to keep it exciting. If we're really, everyone plays very well, we could be, maybe at the bottom of a wild card chase for a little while for the year, which is okay. Just kind of compete. We're not waste time and money to go watch you. But their big thing is they have trade pieces. They could trade Kyle Gibson. They could trade Fultonavich. They could trade Leclerc. They could trade Nate Lowe or Guzman. Whatever one you want to keep, you can trade the other one. They both have some stock there. Odor, if he plays well, you could kind of get rid of him. David Dahl, matters what you want to do. He's young enough to keep. Chris Davis, obviously, he can go join a contender. And then Gallo, matters what you want to do there. You can go get a good return for him.
Yeah.
So they got a lot of tradable pieces, which is good. If you're not going to be that great, you got to have tradable pieces so that you can continue to build the farm system and get, continue to rebuild or retool quicker. If you just kind of stay bad and you have no pieces to trade, then you're just hoping all your draft picks work out.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that way. Because when you go into their prospects, they have a few guys that are, top 100, but not many. One is third baseman Josh Jung. I think he's a top prospect for them. I think he was like number 50 on the top 100. Then they have a catcher, Sam Huff, who obviously always having a catcher prospect's great to have. I think he was top 100, but 60, 70, somewhere in there. And then Dane Dunning, who was a top, I think he was like in the 90s just because, because of injuries and stuff, kind of dropped him down the prospect list, but he's still a very young guy who's got great potential. Other than that, then they have outfielder Leody Taveras, who I believe you talked about. I don't think he was top 100. They only have 3 top 100 guys. No one really the top 50, I think, or top 40 at least. So their farm's not great. It's okay, but it's probably in the mid to late teens, if not early 20s for their farm system. It's not that great. But they have major league talent. So they could trade away and build that farm system, or they can keep them like Dahl and Gallo, Willie Calhoun. They have a couple of young guys they can keep. Solak. Like, all right, these are the guys we're building around. Then you have a couple prospects come up, a couple smaller trades, a couple more draft picks, and kind of hitting free agent here or there and build this team. So they have a couple ways to go, which is good. You want to be versatile on how you can build the team. Do you want to tear it down? Do you want to retool? Do you want to, however you want to do it, sign a couple free agents? They have a lot of options, which is good. But they have major league talent, and they have an okay farm system. So they're not bad. But this year, they'll be towards the bottom of the division and, battling for maybe 500.
Yeah, I mean, I could see when the Mariners start getting good that this team starts to fall, below them, and they become that last place team. But, I don't know then if they only have, like you said, they only really have 3 top 100 guys and really have anyone in the top 40 or 50, like you said. So I don't know what the plan is for the future unless they get some of these, lower level prospects to come up and shine or even at least having a value to be able to trade or work something out with. I don't know. But, they're just not doing it for me right now. I don't know where they're at. They're just kind of just going to be there, especially with, this next team we'll talk about is just getting better. And then the other 2 teams, one team always seems to figure it out. And then the other team we'll get to. But, yeah, so the Rangers are just kind of just there for now. But we'll see what happens with them. You kind of always got to watch them. So the next team we're going to talk about is the Angels. Their projected lineup is David Fletcher, Jared Walsh, Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, Justin Upton, Shohei Ohtani, Dexter Fowler, Jose Iglesias, and Max Stassi. The projected rotation consists of Andrew Heaney, Dylan Bundy, Jose Quintana, Alex Cobb, Griffin Canning, and Shohei Ohtani. If he decides to, not walk everybody like he did last year. The Angels are a team that I'm pretty optimistic with. The only thing with them is they just seem to always kind of get a little bit of excitement behind them coming into the season. They got a good roster. They always have a good lineup, I think, especially after adding Rendon. I feel like they always have a good lineup. And, the Roto Champ has Albert Pujols pegged as a bench guy. You always got to factor him into the lineup, So, and then they got Joe Adell and they got Kurt Suzuki. So they got depth there. But they just always seem to just not click. Like, something seems to just keep Trout away from the playoffs for some reason. I don't know why. I think their biggest problem right now is the rotation. Dylan Bundy and Andrew Heaney seem to be doing much better, closer to what they were projected to be, which is good for them. Jose Quintana is kind of like, you kind of know what you're getting out of him. Mid-threes, at worst a 4 ERA. You kind of know that he's going to eat innings for you and be good. Alex Cobb, at this point, I don't expect much from Alex Cobb, but he could give you be a good 4th or 5th guy. Griffin Canning, I believe, was supposed to be pretty damn good. So, you don't know what you're going to get out of him. Hopefully he lives up to kind of what he's supposed to be. And Shohei Ohtani, if he does come and pitch like how he should, he's a good pitcher. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I mean, he throws hard, got good movement on his ball. So if he comes back and pitches kind of the way he should, even if he's just decent, even if he's like a 3 ERA guy or something, like a 3.5 ERA guy, that's pretty good, at what you're expecting from him. So the pitching's a little bit of a question, but they did beef up the bullpen a little bit with Raisel Iglesias. So they have a closer now. They have the guy, which is good. They have the 9th inning guy if you can fill in spots there. They have Felix Pena, Ty Buttrey, Mike Mayers are kind of their back end is at least what Roto Champ is projected as their back end. So the bullpen is rounded out a little better. Rotation's still a little bit of a question for me. Their lineup, especially if Justin Upton hits like how Justin Upton can hit, the lineup's going to be ridiculous. Especially with the addition of Jose Iglesias kind of replacing Andrelton Simmons. You kind of more or less get kind of the same guy. Andrelton Simmons, I think, is a better hitter at this point. And I think Kurt Suzuki is the better catcher than Max Stassi. I would rather have him starting for me, but I guess it'll just be a platoon role. That's kind of just, I believe Kurt Suzuki's in his upper 30s, so that's probably the point behind that. So, and Jared Walsh, I think, is pretty damn good, too, at first. I think that between him and Pujols, and I'm pretty sure Ohtani mostly DHs, but he does play first, right? Isn't that kind of where he...
I don't think so. I've never seen him play in the field, ever.
Yeah, I'm used to seeing him DH, but I thought if there was like a position for him, like if he had to play the field, I think...
field or something.
Yeah, something that's on that side of the field. So, I mean, you got options at first. And Dexter Fowler they acquired. I mean, he's always good. So you have him platoon in the outfield with Trout and Justin Upton, and then you have Joe Adell, who's supposed to be really, really good. So I think the Angels are really up and coming here. I can see the Angels really. I think some people have them as a high ceiling team where they're like a dark horse pick for the division. I don't know if I quite see that. I could see it if they really all play how they should. I could see them making some problems for the other two teams in the division, but I see them more as maybe a wild card team. I think this is a pretty good team. I don't think me having them pegged as like the third best team in the division is any knock against them. I think that they're quite a bit better than the last two teams we talked about, and I think that they are a legitimate wild card threat. And who knows if the next two teams, the A's and the Astros, if they really don't live up to expectations and they really almost play like how they performed in the offseason with not getting really anybody, both teams, the Angels could sneak up on you. And I think that's good for baseball because you get Trout, a little bit more spotlight than he's been getting because he's kind of our guy in baseball. So overall, I think that the Angels are good. Got to kind of put it in check marks here. I think the lineup's great. I think the rotation needs some work, and I think the bullpen needs some work. But overall, you're adding pieces and you're getting better. So that's kind of what's good here for the Angels. So I'm optimistic with the Angels, but I'm a little trepidatious with them being the Angels at this point. They always seem to fuck it up somehow. So we'll see what happens, but I do see this team as a little legitimate wild card threat in the AL.
Yeah. Just to jump into some names, Dylan Bundy had a great year. Andrew Heaney, if he can stay healthy. Jose Quintana, 200 innings, 4 ERA. Pretty much write that right down. Alex Cobb is a good pickup. Ohtani, if he could pitch to what he can be, he could be an ace. If he could pitch close to what he could be, he's a higher rotation guy. Griffin Cannon's got some great stuff. He could be really the leader of this rotation. Mm-hmm. He's got some really nasty stuff. Out in the bullpen, you got Ty Buttrey, Raciel Iglesias, Alex Claudier, who's a good veteran,
yeah.
bullpen guy. Jamie Barria, who seemed to be pitched. He actually pitched pretty well out of the rotation. I think he was part of the combined no-hitter they threw 2 years back too.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
So he's got a little bit of, he's a pretty good pitcher. So they could definitely rotations. I compare them to maybe the last 2 years what the Twins had. Although they don't have that Barrios yet, who's kind of all right. He's kind of our guy. He's kind of settled in. But the rotation is very similar to how the Twins had it built for 2 years. I think it's even more consistent. Twins were kind of like, all right, and then a couple bottom guys were like, this rotation's like, all right, they're all pretty 2, 3, 4 guys with a chance at a top guy here and there. Bullpen's okay. I think they need to add a piece, but they got some young guys who throw pretty hard, so you never know. Bullpen guys can just come out of nowhere sometimes, so they're okay there. Lineup wise, Kurt Suzuki, veteran, winning catcher, and he'll get the most out of the rotation out of the pitchers. So that's good.
Yeah.
Max Dassey's a similar player to Kurt Suzuki. He can kind of get a lot of the pitchers too. Jared Walsh, Albert Pujols. I think the big thing, if this is his last year, he will play as well as obviously he wants to play just the greatest he can. That's going to be a big thing. Also, I think this really is maybe one of the few off seasons since he left the Cardinals where he kind of went in healthy.
Yeah.
And not playing 162 games last year maybe kind of saved a little legs for him.
Yeah, that's true.
So that could be a big thing. And then you got Anthony Rendon. Come on. David Fletcher's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down, David Fletcher's one of the best hitters in baseball.
Yeah, hitters.
Pure hitter.
Yep.
Not quite, LeMahieu with the power, but man, that guy hit a ball at his eyes in the ground. Base hits, doubles. He's 300 average. Great defensively. A little guy, high socks. Oh, you gotta love him.
Yeah, he's great.
Gotta love him. He's like a mix between Dustin Pedroia and Brock Holt. You get David Fletcher. That's just you love him. He's fantastic. He's one of the best hitters. No one even knows he's even plays. So like, who's this scrub? Oh, he batted 330 last year. Oh, all right. That's just he had like six home runs. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
he's just great.
I know.
Then you have Jose Iglesias. Defensively, Bill Simmons. You got Iglesias. Okay, that's pretty even trade. Simmons a little bit more dynamic hitter. Iglesias a little bit better average hitter, I think, or more consistent average hitter. Simmons can be that, but he's just he's more dynamic, more balls in the gaps, home runs than like Jose Iglesias. Justin Upton, who still somehow is like 31, 32, has been in the league for 15 years or whatever. If he could play better, he's got to play better. And I like Justin Upton, but he's got to play better. He can't be what he's been. Hopefully healthy, he could really smash the ball. So hopefully he could be healthy and play up to what he can play. Then you got Mike Trout. He's so-called pretty good. Mike Trout's the greatest ball player in baseball right now, and one of the best we've ever seen. It would be something if you would have had Pujols in his prime, huh? With Trout in his prime.
Oh my God,
That'd have been something.
That's a sick
and then
3-4.
Rendon is your 3 guy, or your third
Tony
best
Two
hitter.
Bags.
Yeah. I mean, he had Justin Upton at like 23 years old.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he really mashed the ball in the middle of that lineup. Whew. And you got Joe Adell, former top prospect. He's obviously got some, crazy potential. Taylor Ward, Dexter Fowler, I should say, switch hitter at top of the lineup, can kind of, when he's hot, really helps the lineup go. Veteran player. Juan Lagares is there defensively. Very good. Luis Rengifo, he's, young guy. Matt Dice, potential guy, good power. So they got, lineup-wise, they're there. Defense-wise, I think they're pretty well off. Iglesias, Fletcher, very good. Rendon's very good. Trout's, how that is. Joe Adell, he's pretty good. He's going to get better. Upton's okay in left field anymore. Some of the injuries and stuff slowed him down, but he's still, serviceable outfielder. Lagares on the bench. Dexter Fowler. They got a pretty good defense. Better than it's been. Rotation got more solid, more consistent. The bullpen got some names. It's okay now. They could go add a starting pitcher. They can go add a bullpen guy, and they really could push. I mean, I Mike has him here at 3. I had him at 2, and I really think they could win the division since it's more open. But they got a good team. I really like this team, and Joe Madden gets the most out of a lot of his players. So we'll see what he could do. As long as he doesn't get too crazy like he did with the Cubs.
Yeah.
That really hurt him. Got a little too crazy with the Cubs, but he could really get the most out of this Angels team. To go into some prospects, outfielder Brandon Marsh, pitcher Reed Detmers, outfielder Jordan Adams, shortstop Jeremiah Jackson. So the farm system's not great. I believe only one, maybe 2 of those guys are top 100. It might be 2, but if it is 2, the second one is like right at the bottom. So their farm system is not great. It's gotten better because they were last. The farm system was last. So their farm system has gotten better, but they're still probably in the 20s somewhere. Probably even mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
But the team is good. The talent's there. They still have some young guys in the majors. So the team's good. Farm system's not great, but they're going to play very hard because they got a chip on their shoulder. Joe Madden's there. But it's a possibility of this being Pujols' last year after kind of like the league thing, and then they kind of walked that back. That could give them even extra motivation. And knowing the division's open. Knowing the Astros are weaker and the A's are weird. They're gonna have momentum this year. I think that's gonna be their big thing. They gotta start hot. Start better. They always start terrible. That's their big thing. They come out and they're like 5-15, and then the whole season after that they play pretty well. But you start 5-15, and then you play a couple games over 500, you're gonna end up at 500. So you come out the season, just play 10-10 first 20 games, 15-15 first 30 games.
Yeah.
You just can't be 5-15.
Yeah, they do come out the gates cold.
6-20, stuff like that, and then you fight your way. And then you finish the year 6, 7, 8 games over 500, but started the year 6, 10 games under. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Just come out decent and then fight their way because they're a hot and cold team throughout the years. 8-2 over 10 games and then 2-8 over 10 games. So
yeah,
but agreed. I think the Angels got a good team. I like them. I'll be rooting for them, and I think they could easily take the division. But for the most part, like I said, Mike's got them at 3. I got them at 2. They're probably the more safer team to fall at 3. That's kind of why we talked about them 3rd here.
Yeah, because we feel the same way about them. You just had a different team. Actually, we disagreed a bit on who I think is the most talented team, which we're going to get to next. But overall, we kind of feel the same way about the Angels. Could sneak in, win that division. Probably, I kind of hope can get a wild card. And they're coming up. They're kind of coming here. So that's a team I'm excited for personally. So we kind of made a compromise here. We talked about the Angels 3rd, and the other compromise here was that we're going to talk about the Astros next. Now, I had the Astros 1st. You had them 3rd, so naturally they fall to 2nd here. Kind of just split the difference. And I'm going to get into why I am totally fine with talking about the next team next, the A's. Because although I had the Astros pegged as a division winners, I kind of have them as the most talented team. There are legitimate big concerns here with this team. So to start, let's just get into their lineup. So 1 through 9 is Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Michael Brantley, Carlos Correa, Yordan Alvarez, Yuli Gurriel, Kyle Tucker, Miles Straw, and Jason Castro. And then the rotation consists of Zach Greinke, Framber Valdez, Lance McCullers, Jose Urquidy, Urquidy, I believe is how you say it, and Christian Javier. Now, here's my concerns with this team. Although I do have them pegged as the most talented team, and I think it may be an experience factor, it's X factors, like there may be more fans in the stands. So, I was just going to say Dusty Baker after that. I think some fans in the stands playing some home games for them, I think will help them. I think they got to get a little bit of push behind them because they have had nothing but pushes against them. So if they're home and they get some fans to support them a little bit, I think that'll go a long way. Dusty Baker, I think, is a big X factor. Although I didn't talk about Joe Madden for the Angels, who I think pushes them forward. I think Dusty Baker pushes the Astros forward. But here's where my big point of questioning, and this is why I think that them and the A's will be separated maybe by a few games here. At least in my mind, I think they're separated by a little bit of talent here. Is that the Astros bullpen is pretty bad. I think they're in rough shape. I think your back end of Ryan Presley, Pedro Baez, and maybe Joe Smith is pretty rough. I think that they're going to have trouble closing out games. And their rotation, without Verlander, rotation's a bit rough. I have faith in McCullers. Greinke is getting older, but he is still valuable. I think he's still a good pitcher. Jose Urquidy and Framber Valdez have shown life, especially in the playoffs. I think in particular Framber Valdez had a pretty good playoff run last year. So the rotation is 50-50 for me. I could take it or leave it. I don't think it's all that great. So the pitching overall, bullpen rotation is a problem to me, but their lineup is still, I think, one of the best lineups in baseball, especially if that young man Yordan Alvarez comes out and hits. Yeah. Because, you got to figure last year Jose Altuve was rough. If he comes back and bats like Jose Altuve, you got to watch out for a batting title guy there. Alex Bregman is unbelievable. Michael Brantley is awesome. I love Michael Brantley. Correa, as much as I'm not a big fan of Carlos Correa, he is a good hitter if he can stay on the field. Yordan Alvarez, fantastic. I like him. Yuli Gurriel, another good hitter, kind of just Yuli Gurriel strikes me as the guy that you need when you need run, like you got guys on base, you get RBIs. Seems almost like a timely hitter sometimes. Kyle Tucker, I think, is a little underrated. I think Kyle Tucker is a very good hitter. I think he's just getting better. Then you got guys like Miles Straw and Jason Castro, and you got maybe Martin Maldonado to be the kind of platoon guy with the catcher. Then you got guys like Aledmus Diaz, Steven Souza that can fill in spots. But so overall, I think that they're going to hit. I think they're going to do well hitting. So I think that they're going to get runs, but the problem is they're going to give up runs. And that's where I run into my, I still haven't really decided what I'm going to do with where I'm going to rank, division winners and where I'm going to rank even records, because I just don't know with this team what's going to happen. I do think that they are a little more talented than maybe even some projections give them. Some projections actually have them at like 95, 100 wins. I think that's a bit ridiculous, but I do think that they are good. I think that they are going to be. I think they're going to be at least top 2 in this division, and we'll see what happens with last season was, even though it was a shortened season, was rough for them. They did make it to the championship series and came, I believe, like 1 game shy or 2 games shy of the World Series, so that is something to consider too. That they did. It's almost like when the light shines brightest, even though everyone hates. I mean, they're not a well-liked team at this point. They do kind of come through. So this team really is is the bottom going to fall out, and are these talented guys going to play to their ability, or losing Springer and not having Verlander, is that going to start to be their downfall? Is the window closing? I'm not sure, but I still think pretty highly of this team, as much as I am questioning them a lot. I do still think highly of this team, and man, as much as I really don't like some of these guys, I do think that they could really have the most talent in this division still.
Yeah. Many Astros, I'd go into some names that you talked about. You got Verlander, who you're probably not going to see this year. If you do, right at the end of the year, maybe out of the bullpen or a couple inning guy. Greinke's getting very old, but still serviceable, still a very good pitcher. McCullers is up and down. He's got some really good stuff, but with some injuries and stuff, he's been very shaky. Framber Valdez, he's again kind of up and down. Jose Urquidy, very up and down. My big thing is those last couple names are not, that reliable. And then behind that, you don't really have any names. So if one thing goes wrong, you're talking, problem. Yes, there's still some guys out in free agency you can go pick up and maybe add depth to that. But, it's like, especially Verlander, who's a stopgap. Boom. Here's a win every 5 days. Here's a win every 5 days. Here's a win every 5 days. And then you had Greinke, who was like, okay, here's a win 4 times, every 5 starts. So you're like, all right, we're going to get 2 wins this week. 2 wins this week. 2 wins this week. Up. Now we have up 3, 4, 5 wins now. Now It's like, all right, now you got maybe that 1 win with Greinke every time. And then you got to find out some other guys. McCullers can bounce back, though. You definitely get, you got a pretty good 1-2 guy. The bullpen, Ryan Presley, Ryan Stanek, Pedro Baez, Steve Cishek, and Josh James. Cishek, or Cishek, however you want to pronounce it, he's very good. 1 or 2 bad years. He could be a good piece for them because they have no bullpen, really. Pedro Baez and Presley, they're decent, but there's just nothing crazy there. You lost Will Harris. You lost, what was his name? Chris Dubzinski or Dubnak or whatever his name was. Davinsky.
Yeah, Chris Davinsky, yeah.
You got rid of Ozuna for some reason. Still don't really get that. So the bullpen, not great, but okay. Couple names there, okay. But their pitching definitely needs some help. And there's no real back reliability or depth.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem. And Dusty's not the greatest at handling pitchers, as you go ask Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood, they say. But I'm not going to go with too much in that because Dusty Baker's the man. So, lineup-wise, Martin Maldonado, Jason Castro, Yuli Gurriel, Aledmus Diaz, Altuve, Bregman, Correa, Brantley, Miles Straw, Kyle Tucker, Steven Souza, and Carlos Delgado Jr. and Yordan Alvarez. They still got some big names in that lineup. But what's going to hurt them, really, is Yuli Gurriel is, as weird as it to say, is when the team's not good, he's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
And when the team's playing good, he's one of the best hitters. I don't know if it's because he's that good to the lineup or if it's just how it goes. He just goes however the motion, wherever the boat's going.
It's true.
Altuve coming off of some injuries and backlash. Is he going to bounce back? Can he bounce back? Sure. Is he ever going to be 330, 340 again? I don't know. Especially after some injuries and getting beat up and stuff like that. It's tough. He could has to bounce back better than he did last year. Correa, good player, kind of like public enemy number one, which I don't think fits him, and he's always hurt. So, not really the smartest idea to be public enemy number one. Means an extra hit by pitch here or there, and then be an injury prone guy. That doesn't seem like the smartest idea. Bregman, he was bad last year. He had 20 RBIs. You could pull up all the random stats you want for his OPS or he had extra base. I don't want to hear it. He bad 220 and had 20 RBIs. No good. So he's got to bounce back strong. Brantley's consistent, but Brantley does have some injury concerns over for a few years there. But he's a consistent. Just kind of flows right in the middle of the lineup. And Miles Straw's former higher prospect. Kyle Tucker's got some great talent. Souza's a good piece when he's healthy. He's a good piece off the bench. And Yordan Alvarez, who we missed all last year, when he's healthy, which hopefully he is, because he's one of the few guys I really like on this Astros team, he can crush the ball. He looks just like Delgado up there. I'm telling you, he could crush the ball.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be a big part of their team. Altuve coming back. What's happening with pitchers and Alvarez?
El Delgado.
Yeah, it's literally Delgado. He looks just like him. Just the way he goes about his business. Yordan Alvarez is great. I really like him. And he's got some brute strength.
I know, yeah.
That's a big boy.
Yeah, he hits the crap out of the ball.
Yeah. Doesn't field. I don't think he even owns a glove.
No.
But goddamn, he's got a bat.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah, and he's just mean looking up there, but he's probably the nicest guy.
Probably, yeah.
He's probably like Chris Carter, but could actually hit a little bit better than Chris Carter. That's what he kind of, But I like him. So, but they got a lot of question marks. And then last year, were they playing off of no fans being in the yelling at them? The backlash kind of settling down after the shortened season, after the delayed start. Were they playing off of emotion? Those things all bubble up this year. So we'll see what they got. Farm system wise, they got Forrest Whitley, one of the top pitching prospects. He's still a high prospect, but it's kind of do or die at this point with him because we've been hearing about him for 4 years now.
Yeah.
Then they got infielder Frutus Nova. Picture Brian Abreu, infielder Jeremy Pena. Only one, I believe, of those guys are in the top 100. That's Forrest Whitley. So the farm system's not good. The team is still very good, especially lineup-wise, offensive-wise. So the team's still got some talent. Farm system's not great, so you're not really getting much help, but you do have Forrest Whitley, who is probably the biggest need is pitching, so he can come up and really help. But there's just too much question marks, and the window, I think, is shut. I think everything was shut really last year, but there's always a crack that's still open because there's some talent there. But it's pretty much shut. Their World Series chance, unless they make some big moves, which they don't really have the farm system to do anymore. The guys are leaving now. Some of the guys are getting older. It's kind of came and went, and it's time to retool. So we'll see. But the team's still definitely capable of being in the playoffs, winning the division, the wild card hunt. But the team also can just give up, and kind of flutter around 500, if not right below 500, if they kind of just give up. But I think they'll be in the wild card hunt until they have too much talent. It's just there's a lot of questions surrounding them, and fans will be back for the good and for the bad for them. So it's going to help that their home fans can kind of give them a cheer and maybe cheer them up. But when they go on the road 81 times this year, and they go hear from Oakland fans, and they go hear from Angel fans, they go hear from Yankee fans, they go hear from Boston fans. Philly. If they played, I don't know if they play Philly this year, but God, that would be not great for them.
No,
they're gonna hear it.
Oh yeah.
So that's gonna remind the players, hey, I didn't hit this guy in the back last year because I forgot. Now I'm gonna hit him in the back this year. So it's gonna be a reminder of some players too. So they got a good team though, but a lot of questions. I think they'll be they'll be in the playoff hunt for the wild card at least. I just don't see it. I don't see them really competing, being the team in the division. They can compete. I think it's gonna a lot of things have to go right, and the way it's been going for them, everything's kind of going the opposite. So I can't see how all of a sudden I'll just turn back around and be everything going right again.
Yeah, I think this team is, although like I said, I do have them kind of pegged high. I do think they're on that verge. They're at that tipping point, and I think that if they go the way I'm thinking they're going to be okay. But for how long? That's kind of
this year.
Exactly. That's kind of where I'm thinking. I don't think in the long run, I'm going to get more into it when we do our proper prediction. In the long run, I don't see them as, say, like I think they're going to do. They're the most talented team. They win the division, whatever. I don't see them competing with the White Sox and the Yankees. I just don't see it. This whole West division, I don't know if I see it with those other teams. I don't know if they quite stack up.
Oh, then the Angels.
And
if they get one piece, they could really compete.
If the Angels
get Ohtani steps up,
yeah,
and is ace and
they've been chasing that number one starter for how many years now?
Padres,
they get him
just like the Padres.
Yeah,
and the Padres went off the walls and got like 19 of them.
I know.
The Angels could just find a way to get one.
Yeah,
Angel, Chris Sale, that's a team. Boom, give me him.
Yeah, that's. I agree. I just
Castillo for the Reds.
Man, they got the prospects to do it.
But they're a team. The Angels, I'm not going to get too much into. They're a team that could go tires on Jeff Samardzija or Johnny Cueto in the middle of the year and just be like, all right, this guy could help us, and then he'll fine. That's the kind of move the Angels are going to do. But yeah, the West is open, and I just don't know the Astros. If they're good this year, this would be about it.
Yeah, and I've seen, like I said, I've seen some predictions. I want to get on to the next team, but this is the last thing I want to say on it. I've seen some predictions that had them like almost at 96 to 100 wins, and I'm like, listen, this isn't the 2017, 2018 cheating Astros that were. I mean, overall they were a good team,
But they could pitch.
That's what I'm saying.
Monster. This year they have one guy who's 38 years old.
Yeah,
running the rotation.
Who throws 80 miles an hour.
Yeah, and you never know what he's thinking.
Yeah.
He might just not show up. He might just be like, you know what, I'm just not playing anymore.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, all right. He's just crazy.
Yeah, so they have no pitchers now.
Yeah.
But we'll see with them. And the reason this next team, the Athletics, the Oakland A's, the reason that I conceded and was like, I'll put them first is because first of all, I like the A's. Second of all, they have much better pitching. And let's be honest. I think in bullpen and rotation, I think overall they have much better pitching. I just don't think pound for pound they have quite as good of a lineup. I think ceiling, they have a better lineup. But I think pound for pound, realistically, I think that the Astros do edge them out a little bit. So let's get into it here with the lineup. So for the Athletics, they have Ramon Laureano, Mark Canha, Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Sean Murphy, Mitch Moreland, Stephen Piscotty, Elvis Andrus, and Anthony Kemp. Their rotation consists of Chris Bassett, Jesus Luzardo, Frankie Montas, Sean Manaya, and Mike Fiers. So right there, like I said, with the lineup, I don't think pound for pound they quite are with the Astros. At least, say that if the Astros hitters hit like they did last season, that's a lot different. But if they hit like they should, I do think pound for pound the Astros are a little better. But, look at the middle of this lineup with the A's. You got Ramon Laureano, who has really come on with the bat.
He's Ramon.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Both sides of the ball. Mark Canha is always solid, I think, in the lineup. Matt Chapman is probably one of the best third basemen in baseball. Matt Olson has just so much power, and if he gets that average up a little bit from last season, which I think he will.
Last season was just don't go off that.
He literally did nothing but hit home runs. He still had the home run, so if he gets that average up.
Before that, he broke his handmate bone, and that saps your power. He came back hit like 30 home runs.
Yeah.
In the same year that he broke it, he's like, I'm fine.
Yeah. So
and he could play at first base. Whew, he might be one of the best. He might be the best defensive first baseman in the league right now.
Yeah, the corner combination of him and Matt Chapman is just unbelievable. The corners, they're awesome. Yeah. So the middle of the lineup's sick. Sean Murphy was obviously a high prospect. I think he's just going to keep getting better and better. So behind the plate, you got a really good catcher. Mitch Moreland seems to fit in well with teams like this. He fit in well with the Red Sox that kind of got that like underdog kind of tone to them. So I think he's going to fit in very well in Oakland. I just see that happening.
You know what? He's going to be like, like Scott Hatterberg over there.
Yeah.
He knows how to play first already. But he's going to be like that guy. We're like, let's kick the tires on. He's got a good on base. He's been around. He fields over there. And all of a sudden he'll be like, 20 home runs. Here we go.
I was going to say, I could see him dropping 20 in the season, 2025, something like that. So we'll see.
Brandon Moss.
Yeah.
He could be Brandon Moss.
That's a really good comparison.
Just come in and be Brandon
Big lefty
Moss
guy.
And just cause a ruckus for that 1 year.
Yeah.
2 years. And then just leave.
Yeah, that's a really good. I like that a lot. And then after him, you got Biscotti, who's always solid. I believe last year he struggled a little bit. But you got to take a little grain of salt with last season. It was a shortened season. Elvis Andrus, I think they did a good job replacing Semien. Yeah, he struggled.
I believe.
Yeah, and Semien, who is obviously not here anymore, struggled as well. So, did you maybe get the better deal out of this? I don't know. I think Elvis Andrus is still good. I don't think he's quite Marcus Semien ceiling at this point with him anymore. Definitely doesn't have the power ceiling like Simeon does. And Anthony Kemp at second is going to do okay. I mean, you don't need all 9 hitters to be the greatest hitter on the planet. So I think he fits Oakland well. So I think he'll just fill his role right. And then you got the rotation, which I think is the big separator with potential separator with them and the Astros here. You got Chris Bassett, who I think is really good. Jesus Luzardo, very highly regarded prospect, big lefty, I believe. He can really bring it, and I think that he's just going to get better. So I think he's going to have a good season. Frankie Montas, good pitcher, really solid, a kind of a middle of rotation guy, I think, for this rotation. But the A's are weird, so you could see him starting.
Yeah, he was opening day last year.
I was going to say you could see him starting opening day.
Didn't he pitch the wild card game, playoff game, game 1?
Did he?
Or game 3 even?
I think yeah, did he? Yeah, because Chris.
I think Manaya might have pitched game 1. And then Montas pitched game 3. Either way, they put the confidence in him.
Yeah. So I think he's very good. Sean Manaya, I think really highly of, but I don't think he had quite a great season last season. But I think the potential is still there to him have a really good season, be kind of like a top, like higher end rotation guy. Mike Fiers, as much as I don't think like really highly Mike Fiers, he always seems to come up big for a team. I think he comes up big for the A's in particular too.
He fits the A's.
So yeah,
he's a perfect player for them.
Exactly. So overall, I think the rotation 1 through 5 can really be really good. So the rotation's good. Bullpen, they got Trevor Rosenthal, who had like a renaissance kind of seasons with him.
He fits them.
So he fits there well. Jake Diekman, Sergio Romo. I think a guy like Sergio Romo, I think fits them awesome. I think he's just gonna kind of
the Bay Area.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that the back end of the bullpen at the very least, and then you got guys like Yasmero Petit, I believe is there, and there's a lot of guys I didn't list here.
Yeah, I got a few that you didn't mention. Lou Trevino.
Yep.
Who's always really good, and then he's just like really bad for a couple weeks, and then he's really good again. Mm-hmm. If he can just kind of not be so bad in the middle of that, he's very good. Mm-hmm. He said Diekman, J.B. Wendelken, who pitched really well. Yes, Mary Petit, you mentioned, and then James Caprillion, who's supposed to be fighting for the rotation and the bullpen, who's was a high prospect.
Yeah,
so they got some pitching.
Yeah, the bullpen's definitely good. The rotation's good. And then off the bench, they got some depth with Chad Pinder.
Oh, I love Chad Pinder.
I know you love him. Buddy Reed and Greg Diekman or Diekman, however, I'm not sure how to say his name.
Buddy Reed.
Yeah.
That looks like he's gonna play well.
Yeah.
Last time they had a guy named like that was Bubba Crosby.
Oh.
Bobby Crosby. Bubba. No.
No, it was Bubba, wasn't it?
I don't remember now, but he was good for them.
Someone's gonna be mad at us. Someone's listening like, no, it was Bubba Crosby. No.
Yeah, one of them. I think it was. I don't remember now, but. They do pretty well with that.
But yeah, I mean, they got some good depth. I think the pitching, like I said, is the big difference here, which is why I'm still a little split on what I'm thinking with this West division. Both West divisions, I'm a little stuck on.
Well, yeah, the West is just
it's
pure
just
talent, both teams.
Yeah, both teams. Yeah, it's hard to decide.
It's like a spread talent.
Yeah, this kind of
3 teams.
Yeah, I could realistically see all 3 teams winning it, but there's some with the A's always that always leaves me a little bit questioning them. They could either be that team that just defies all expectations. They're always the underdog, the Moneyball team, and they come from out of nowhere and they win 96 games. All of a sudden, they're division winners. Or they could just be, the wild card team, and they're just there and they're good and they give you trouble and they beat up the Yankees at Oakland for some reason all the time, and
beat everybody up in Oakland.
Yeah, they're tough at home, especially you get some fans back now. They're gonna have one fan there. It's gonna be the loudest crowd in the country.
There now.
Yeah.
So if you're a sports fan, you're gonna go there, pack the house.
Yeah. So just to kind of wrap up my thoughts here, let you kind of talk on the A's. 'Cause I know you really love the A's. Well, we both do, but I think that they are. I think that the Astros might still have the edge in the division. Maybe there's a little experience factor there too. With the Astros, I think have been at it a little longer than some of these guys on the A's team. But I think that the big the thing I think that will separate and kind of decide what happens with division is this A's pitching. I think could be the next step for them and the reason that they hop over the other 2 teams. Because really, let's be honest, Astros and the Angels, that's their big problem. All 3 these teams can hit, but the A's got that pitching, bullpen and rotation. So I think that's where I'm stuck. Is like, is everything gonna come together nicely for them? And I think it can. And at the very worst, they're gonna be a wild card team. I think.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, the A's, but Wait, guys like Manaya, Mike Fiers, Chris Bassett, who pitched great last year. Jesus Luzardo, who was like a top prospect. He pitched really good. He brings it, lefty. Frankie Montas, who's a little inaccurate, but he's he's hot. He's hot. Last year I said it. Last year he had the shoulder injury and never pitched. AJ Puck is going to be huge from them. Huge.
Yeah, I
higher
forgot about
prospect.
that.
He's going to be huge. If he comes in and pitches the way he can, which he's gonna. I'm telling you, he's gonna pitch this year. He's going to be AL Rookie of the Year. AJ Puck. Put it right down. Hands down. Right. He's great. Big lefty. Big lefty. He's going to be very, very good. So that's going to be huge for them. Then you got the bullpen. Sergio Romo, been there, done that. He'll do his thing, like Fernando Rodney almost. Trevor Rosenthal had a great year last year. Hopefully he can have a similar year. Trevino, he can just control some of his wild inaccuracies. Jake Diekman, J.B. Wendelken. Mary Petit's been like Mr. A over there. James Caprillion could be in the rotation, be in the bullpen. He's a prospect, had good stuff, so he's going to help them. Finally, he's going to be pitching in the majors, I think, if he stays healthy. Sean Murphy, great young catcher. Played very well last year. Austin Allen, even. Yeah. Backup off the bench. He's got a little bit of power for, backup catcher, which is what you want. Really, as a backup catcher. Just hit a home run every once in a while and play pretty good defense, and we'll be all right. Mm-hmm. Matt Olson, talking about power. The guy can mash the ball. He's not going to bat 200 again this year. He'll be at least 250, 260 hitter. Yeah. Hits lefties, hits righties. Great defensively. He's a very good player. Marcano's seems to be just the way Mike's fantasy team. That's his guy right there. He always ends up on his team.
I don't know why.
Mitch Moreland, the guy who looks like Mike. He's gonna be like Brandon Moss Jr. over there. Chad Pinder's the starter. Nothing against Tony Kemp. Chad Pinder, he's the man. Plays everywhere. Mm-hmm. He's gonna play most days because he plays everywhere. He's just smacks base hits some home runs, comes up in big spots. He's just another player that just fits that A's. Matt Chapman, boom, done. He's one of the best defensive third basemen. He's gonna hit very, pretty well. Elvis Andrus is gonna he's another one to kind of, written off. Well, that was to the A's. The team you're never dead. You're never dead yet. Mm-hmm. So they're gonna bring him back. Yeah, that's a little bit of a hit with Simeon. I think Andrus probably a little better defensively. Simeon more flexibility. Simeon more dynamic hitter. Mm-hmm. But Andrus is going to step in and fill that role pretty well. Yeah. Seth Brown, young guy, just kind of going to be there. You don't know what you're going to get out of him yet. Mm-hmm. Like I said, Tony Kemp, Ramon Laureano was defensively. You don't got to talk about that. He's fantastic. But he's the spunk, the energy. I hate you. Yeah. Just because I play against you. Mm-hmm. Not just he doesn't like. He just does it because you're on the other team. He's gonna let you know that. He's a little bit different than some of the other A's. He brings a little bit of different than a lot of the other players. They all kind of play their game and cheer for themselves. But he's like, I don't like you. Brings that different spunk to them, which is good. Mixes the energy up. Steven Biscotti, another one, just fits right in. Doesn't say anything, just smacks the ball. Comes up in big spots. They're really good because they're feisty. They win games. They win it with power, with pitching, with defense, with stealing bases. Outsmarting you because Bob Melvin's very good and their whole coaching staff. Their stadium fits them. It's nothing. It's garbage. It's huge in foul territory, which helps them with their defense on the corners and obviously with the pitching. If everything just goes well with the A's, they're hard to beat. Last year, none of them played well. Could you give me an A's player that played well last year? Laureano, maybe? But he had injuries.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great.
But not a lot of guys played well last year, and they were still one of the best teams. Yeah. So just think if they would have played well last year.
Could have won it all.
Yeah. At that point. They're going to play better this year. They're just a really good team, and they're hard to beat. Hard to go to Oakland and beat them. Yeah. Always been. But they're hard to beat. And they never cared about the Astros. Even when the A's aren't that great and the Astros were in the prime of their years, A's always gave them trouble. Yep. Look at years ago when they played against the Tigers, when the Tigers were in their prime. Mm-hmm. A's almost beat them, knocked them out of the playoffs. Yep. Sonny Gray and the fellas. Yep. They don't care who you are. So the A's are going to be tough.
Yeah, they are.
Even though they lost 15 guys, you got no namers. You feel like they walk it off. They come back. They fight. They're just never out of it. They're like poor man Cardinals. Yeah, get pieces who fit what they want, not what they. Oh well, he doesn't do this well, but I need him to do this one thing. Mm. This guy does this one thing, and this guy does this one thing, and they all fit together.
Yeah, they do find that way to fit the puzzle in nice to get that complete team. Yeah,
And then I'll go into some prospects. AJ Puck's gonna be great. I like AJ Puck a lot. Then they got shortstop Robin Paulson. Catcher Tyler Soderstrom, another catcher. So that's always good to have good catchers. Good catchers, pitching, shortstops. That seems to be your prospects.
Yeah.
Because outfielders, they come and go.
It's true.
Infielder, Nick Allen. So the farm system's not that great. I believe they have maybe 2 of these guys from the top 100. And one's A.J. Puck, who's going to be on the Major League team. But you just had Luzardo, who was like number 5 in there. And they have a lot of other younger guys who've been, Matt Olson and Matt Chapman, Chad Pinder. So they have younger players. Liriano was a higher guy. So their farm system kind of already came up. They still have a couple guys. Their farm system's not great, probably in the teens somewhere. But their team is very, very good. It doesn't jump out at you, but it's really good when you think about, well, how do the A's want this team? This is how they want it. So the team fits. This is exactly how they want it. It fits very well. They're feisty. They're good. They're going to be, I think, win the division. If not, they're definitely winning the wild card. But I think they're winning the division. They could win 100 games, which would be a little bit surprising. They could win 85, somewhere in there. I think 85 might win the division.
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
But I think they're going to be right around 90 and make the playoffs and just be that team that you don't want to go face. And especially don't want to travel to Oakland and face them.
No.
I like the A's, always have. This team's pretty good. And I love Matt Olson. Matt Chapman's great defensively. I love him. Liriano's crazy. A lot of guys to like on this team. A.J. Puck, I really like. So that's the reason why I like these guys. And Chad Pinder, of course. So a lot of guys I like personally, which really makes me like them. So
yeah, I'm a big fan of the team too. We both are. We both have always kind of rooted for the team, especially they're almost like to outsiders looking into me. They're like the heroes versus the villains. The Astros are the villains, and they're the underdog. It's like David and Goliath.
But never cared.
No, never. No.
And then you got the Angels. It's like that meme you see with the 3 dragons.
Yeah, and they're like the dopey one.
Yeah, that's like the Angels because you don't know what you're getting at them.
Yeah.
Their stuff's just all over the place, but they're good.
Yeah.
But the Astros kind of know what they want, how they want it. A's know what they want, how they have it. And then the Angels, like, we got a bunch of good stuff, but we don't know how to manage it or put it together. So that's why they always kind of think of them as that third monster, that third dragon, that meme where they're just kind of...
Yeah, all dopey. Yeah, so that's kind of how we're feeling about this division. Overall, I think even though we have slight disagreements, I feel like we kind of fall on the same idea where these teams are going to end up. I feel like, or like kind of where their talent is. I feel like we have legitimate questions about all the 3 top teams. We could see all 3 of them winning the division. We could see all 3 of them getting, 2 of the 3, getting the 2 wild cards. I think that they're all talented.
There's 3 teams here could be 90 wins.
Yeah.
There's 3 teams here that could be 500.
Yeah, exactly.
And one of them 500 teams win a division. There's people out there saying, hell, Mariners are winning a division. It's because it's so wide open.
Yeah.
It's just like, let's just throw a complete wild card in. And with their prospects, who knows? But that's how crazy this West is.
Yeah, and you know what it is too? I think people are high on the Angels too out of those 3 teams because the Angels almost, if you could do like a simple like arrow up, arrow down, like in my head, like where's the trajectory? The Angels are kind of on that upward trajectory, that green arrow.
People root for them.
Yeah.
So no matter who you are, it always gives you a boost in what you think they could do.
Yeah.
Even when it's a 1 win, it's always like, well, you don't like them, you're like, but you like them, you're like, they got to be good. They got to be good one of these years. They got to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people kind of rooting just for Trout and maybe even Pujols at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Pujols going to go for a record. RBIs and total bases and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'll be rooting for him. I always did.
Yeah, and I hope that if he does retire, I hope that he tells us before the season ends so that he gets a farewell tour.
He said he's not, no.
Oh, really? He doesn't?
Yeah, he's not going to say nothing until after the season. He wants to see how the season plays out and how he feels and what the team does.
If that's what he wants, that's fine. I respect it.
I can see him just fading away.
Yeah, I think that he is one of the best players of our generation, one of the best players of all time, and I think that he deserves a send-off tour, kind of like what Jeter and Ortiz and them got.
I hope that last season's shortened season does not stop him from breaking the RBI record, because that would be a damn shame, because he deserves the RBI record. He deserves really he's going to have a slight chance at 700. If he comes back next year, he's got a great chance at 700 home runs. Total base record he's in the hunt for. He's going to have 300 average, pretty much done at this point, unless he bounces back with over 300 average.
Yeah.
But he still has a chance at the RBI record, total bases, and to finish his career with more walks, I believe, than strikeouts.
Yeah, which would be fantastic.
I'm not going to keep going into this because we can keep going for hours. I had him on our list. He was my top first baseman of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's one of the best hitters of all time, top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And he's definitely the greatest hitter of our generation.
Yeah.
And he's probably the greatest hitter since I don't know, Mickey Mantle. And then, no, I don't care what anyone says. I'm taking prime Albert Pujols over just about anybody. Over Miggy. People say, oh, Miggy. No. Look at his numbers versus Trout.
Mm-hmm.
Trout, they say, is one of the best baseball players of all time. Pujols' numbers are actually better.
Yeah. Especially in the average.
Scary.
Yeah, especially in the average category. I believe through the first 1,000 games of their career, their home runs and RBIs and OPS and all that stuff's pretty comparable. There's like a 30-point gap in average. That's where the big separator is. And although Pujols isn't quite the average hitter anymore, those home runs and RBIs are still there every year.
Oh, yeah. He's still 240, 250, 20-something home runs and 100 RBIs.
Yep.
Or 80, 90 at this point.
Yeah. So that's kind of a big reason
comes
why.
Up in the biggest spots, and he'll hit.
Oh, yeah.
He'll hit.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of, he embodies a kind of why the reason we see the Angels kind of being that kind of team that can surprise people. You got a guy like him on there that's one of the best of all time. You got Trout,
Everyone wants to play for him. Everyone wants to win for him.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. So that's kind of my opinions on the division. Obviously, we'll come back to it in the 7th episode, so we got not too many episodes left here. We got to talk about the NL next. The NL East is kind of a division that's a little bit open to a lot of people. I think that there's like at least 2 teams there that you could say could win the division. You probably got a division winner and a wild card team out there. So I'm excited to talk about the NL East. But those are overall my thoughts on the AL West and kind of those teams. So if you got anything else before you get into the trivia question.
No, the AL West is a crapshoot. Some real good talent. Some teams that can be really good. Some teams that could just be mediocre, and a mediocre team could win the division. But it's a division I'm excited to watch play out and unfold, especially with the Angels and liking the A's. So should be fun, fun division for a couple opposite reasons why the AL Central we talked about last week, why that's exciting. Got some real strength in there. Well, the West, you don't really know what you have in there.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, to get into our trivia question this week, nothing too crazy, but what team did Gaylord Perry get his 300th career win for?
A little tough because he's played for a lot of teams.
Yeah, and extra credit if you can get the team did it against.
I inadvertently guessed that right.
So the team that Gaylord Perry got his 300th career win with happened to be the Mariners, who relates to this episode, obviously. So he got his win there with the slash, the pilot, almost like the pilot's uniforms, where it was like the light blue we talked about with our uniform episode. And the team he did it against was the Yankees.
Yep.
But yep, he got his 300th win with the Mariners.
Yeah, it was like every team that he was on, just about except for the Giants. This is where he spent most of his career. I guess like every other team that he's been on except the Mariners. I forgot he was there.
And I like that question just because, one, it related to the episode, but two, it kind of was a teaser. You're like, like it's just who was it? He did it. You just didn't know. You couldn't figure it out. Was it the Rangers? You just couldn't figure it out. So I seen that, and I'm like, all right, I like that, and it goes along with the episode. So
yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, and if you ever get a chance, go look up that story with I believe it was the coach or one of the players saying that someone will land on the moon before Gaylord Perry hits a home run, and the day he landed on the moon, he hit the home run. That's one of my favorite stories of all time. Go look it up and really read into it because it goes into more detail. But that's a great story. I love that story.
Me too. That's one of the great baseball legends. And Dusty Baker creating the high five.
Yeah, creating a high five, sure.
Underrated, very underrated story.
Yeah.
That he created the high five
after we landed on the moon.
Yeah,
we were on the moon. We were in space, but never slapped our hands up over our shoulders to someone else's hand.
Yeah,
that's,
I don't.
Unbelievable, really.
I don't understand it. I don't. I never will.
It's unbelievable. We had cars and light. We never slapped a hand, which we've had for millions of years.
Yeah.
Everyone's had hands.
Yeah, no one just went above their head.
No.
I don't know. That's a whole. We could do a fucking episode just on the creation of the high five. It's just so unbelievable.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't make sense.
But anyway, that's all I got for this episode. I'm excited to talk about the NL East. The NL East. The West. I know. I'm excited to talk about the NL East next week, and I'm excited that when I go to bed at night, there is spring training baseball on. and that there's some sort of baseball going on. You got some fans in the stands, which is nice. Got them kind of spread out. But enough that you can see that there's fans there and not just cardboard cutouts or just those CGI implanted hologram fans. It was terrible. I hated that.
It feels like, normal again.
Yeah.
So we're right there. We're right there. And this is the most anticipated season I think I've ever had with baseball. Yeah. So exciting.
Sure. Yeah, so that's all I got, unless you got any final notes, final news, whatever you want to bring up.
No, I mean, that's pretty much it, other than the A's did propose another stadium design.
Oh, yeah.
Sent that out, and that looks very good. But other than that, I mean, baseball.
Yeah.
It's here. It's on TV. Games are playing, and you can't get no better than that.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see all the teams, So, all right, guys. So that's it for this week. We will be back next week with the NL West. So until then, you can listen to this podcast on Google Podcasts as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can also listen to our podcast on our regularly updated YouTube channel as well as our website, screwball.podbean.com. You can follow me on Twitter at @RealMikeLepre. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lepre.
And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at FDubs10.
You can follow our official Screwball Twitter at ScrewballPod. You can follow our official Screwball Facebook at ScrewballPod, no E in Screw. And that's it from us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep, take care.